Hey, so this is a quick review of the new Ghost in the Shell episode. I'm going to do this for every episode, I think. Quick review, first impressions, a bit unscripted. First impressions, the animation seems pretty good. The bombastic art style fits the original manga very much. It looks, of course, a bit different, which makes you wonder if an accurate adaptation came out in the 90s, what would this look like in cell animation? But I still very much like it. I think the opening maybe rushed through it a bit, or maybe it seemed a bit rushed, but of course, most people already know how Ghost in the Shell opens, so it makes sense. I thought the iconic jumping out of the window scene was maybe not as good looking as in other shows and movies. Like I still think in the second season of Standalone Complex, the shot looked a bit more, I don't know, dreamy. I don't know how to describe it. But still, pretty good opening, I think. Then the actual opening was also pretty good. And if we talk opening, let's talk about the music. I think the music was maybe a bit overbearing, maybe a bit too loud, but maybe it's just me. I don't know, maybe it was just my setup. I don't know if the music had a bit of a spy thriller feel to it, which does make sense, I guess, but I was not sure if the jazzy music really fit into the setting. I very much like Motoko Kusanagi's new voice. I think it fits. I think it sounds like all her older iterations. It doesn't really sound out of place, like something you have to get adjusted to or anything. Speaking of Kusanagi, I also think her personality is of course very much like in the manga. And I think all the people that talk about how manga Kusanagi is so different and whatnot, and maybe haven't even actually read the manga, if we are honest, maybe will be a bit surprised that this Kusanagi is of course still in some ways as serious as the other Kusanagis. Of course, she's still way more silly than all the other ones. That's still a fact, but I sometimes think this narrative that she's so silly compared to the others is maybe sometimes a bit overblown. I also noticed that some scenes are certainly different from the manga, so it's still not a real one-to-one adaptation of every scene that appears in the manga, which also made me curious because the anime is going to be just 10 episodes. Of course, the manga itself isn't really that long, but it still made me wonder because how much of the manga actually is going to fit into these episodes, if they can actually adapt everything in 10 episodes, but I'm not entirely sure. Let's talk about Kusanagi again. I think it very much captures the Mina side too, that she's not always really nice or something, like she isn't really a hero in the conventional sense, even if she of course does her jobs to fight injustices. And we of course also still see this in the scene with the boy or in the scene with the android, where she isn't really sympathetic to the android in any way. And I think there isn't as much to say as of now, apart from that. I think the ending was pretty nice. I think that it was an interesting idea to have all this evolution of the computer basically got invented and how that advanced and so on. And then the ending illustration was really cool by the artist that does like the Metal Gear Solid art and the Final Fantasy art. For some reason the name escapes me right now, but you know who I am talking about probably. Overall, pretty great episode. I still like the manga itself a bit more, which is a bit cliche to say, but usually when it comes to Ghost in the Shell, I actually like the other the adaptations more than the manga itself. So in this case, I still like the manga a bit more, even though most of the time I prefer animated media. But maybe future episodes will change my mind. Quick edit here. I think also in the opening scene, what's interesting is this handheld camera that they use. I'm not entirely sure why they made it that way, what feeling they wanted to give, but it was certainly interesting. And what I also find interesting is that a ton of the blood is sometimes censored in a pixelated sci-fi way, where I'm not entirely sure why they are doing this, except to be just stylized, because it's not like shows don't show blood nowadays. Like there are so many anime that show blood that I got very surprised that they did it that way. It wasn't also really all that brutal compared to the manga or anything, but yeah. And that's all I have to say. Bye!